Good evening and welcome to round 11 of the HSO Kart 1988 Championship, coming to you tonight from Pocono Raceway in Long Pond, Michigan, where we will be going for a full 500-mile race. Our apologies for being slightly delayed. We had a couple of technical difficulties to try and take care of, but it should now be sorted, and qualifying, I believe, has just finished. And with me from his car we have Dave Miller. Good evening, Dave.
Good evening, everybody. Unfortunately, I'm talking to you from what's left of the Bettenhausen Lola after a crash on my first qualifying lap.
Oh dear, that's unfortunate to hear. I hope that won't put any spanners in the works for you to still be in the race and doing your best.
Well, the Bettenhausen Motorsports guys are already rummaging around in the Yugo parts bin, so hopefully we'll be all good to start the race.
That sounds good. Let's see, yeah, qualifying is about 30 seconds out, so looks like, unless anything changes, Alberto Ibanez will be on pole for the race. I believe there may be a couple more to do laps, but I think that will be the pole position for the race. Quick look at the track, since we have about 5 minutes after qualifying is finished. We're of course at the Pocono International Raceway, also nicknamed the Tricky Triangle, consisting of 3 turns. First turn at 14 degrees are very similar to one of the turns at Trenton Speedway, nowadays defunct, but back in the day a short, I believe 1 mile oval, possibly 1.5, where I believe we did. No, we haven't raced there in '88, but we raced there last year in '74s. And then we come up to turn 2, or tunnel turn, which has a 9-degree banking, which is the location of big crashes in the past 2 years of the modern series. Very similar in characteristic to the turns at Indianapolis. And then we come to turn 3, which has a 6-degree banking, very similar to how the Milwaukee Mile, I should say, looks and feels. The track is 2.5 miles long. We'll be going for 200 laps, or a maximum of 3.5 hours, since we don't want to go all the way into the night if we do get a lot of cautions, which will equal 500 miles, of course. And because of how the turns are, you of course never can have a perfect setup, Dave. Or have you found a setup that works everywhere for you?
It's impossible. You have to pick which one you want to be quick through. It's more than just turning left around here.
That is definitely true. And let's see, we also have a quick look at the points situation after our most recent round at Mid-Ohio, where Thiago Canola pulled away by a few points, now sitting soundly on the top spot on 137 points. David Yates is second on 114 points. David Junt is third on 80 points, still in fourth despite not racing in the series anymore. due to real-life work-related stuff. Richard Coxon on 76 points, and Grant Vidal is still 5th on 55 points. Unfortunately, Grant won't be racing tonight. He has a hurt ankle, which unfortunately hasn't healed up the way he would have wanted, so he has decided to sit out the 500-mile race, and will hopefully be back for the next one. Also, in terms of the driver lineups, there are a few news. Jason White joins the True Sports team, the team that Richard Coxon drove for, which is has the same power plant that Jason has been running with earlier in the season, but it's slightly biffed up, has a bit more power, which will probably help him quite a bit. And Greg Delacella joins Hemelgarn Racing. I believe that's the vacant spot that Jason left when he switched to the True Sports team. And as you can hear in the background, the cars are going around the track. And I can see that your team, Dave, has gotten the car back together in at least okay shape by the looks of things. Looking at the times.
Yep, feeling no ill effects.
That's good to hear. Let's see if we can get onto the action on the screen as well. There we go. Let's see if we can find you out on track. There you are. Big traffic jam up ahead. But yeah, feel free to take us around the lap here, Dave.
Certainly, coming out of turn 3, avoiding the debris, and the other vehicles, never mind. Going down the front straight, it's quite long, quite wide. You want to be over to the right here for turn 1. The long corner, keep it tight in the groove, because if you go outside, it's just understeer and doom. That race speed will be out right up against the wall. Now coming up towards the most fearsome corner on the track, tunnel turn. Really need to thread that needle, because that wall is waiting for you on the outside if you get it wrong, and it hurts if you hit it. Then turn 3, which is never ending. Again, hold it tight in the groove. If you go out too high, you will understeer and you'll hit that wall on the outside. That's a lap of the tricky triangle. We've got 200 to do in the race, and it should be interesting.
And a lot of hard work for all of you, I'd say. Especially the most tricky bit, I'd assume, is the fact that the race group is so narrow. Passing will be nigh on impossible.
Definitely, the groove is only one line wide, or only one car wide, and to get through you really need the other guy to cooperate.
And as we can see with Simon Wattman up ahead of you there, very much so out of the groove, you have no grip whatsoever.
Indeed, if you're lucky you'll just understeer and you can save it by backing off, but if you're unlucky the car will snap and you'll be going into the wall backwards at 200 miles an hour.
And promptly out of the race. And now we can see Greg Delacella in the Hemelgarn Racing machine. One of the 2 Yad-powered cars in the field. Going out on track and just getting a quick feel for how the car will be with a lot of fuel in the car. You can see him now also slightly scraping the wall coming out of tunnel turn. As we have race session preparing to be started. We'll have 1 formation lap, two files. Simply because we want to get the race going without too many hiccups from here on in. Originally it's a three wide start, but partly because AMS doesn't quite like it, R-Factor doesn't like it either, we are doing it 2 wide instead to save us the hassle. As we can see, Alberto Ibanez on pole position in the number 5 Team Penske machine. Second on the grid will be David Saber, both of them will with Ilmor Chevrolet power plants in their cars. Saber driving for Newman Haas. Richard Wilkes will be is lining up 3rd for Dick Simon Racing. Adam Hackman with a fantastic qualifying for 4th for Quaker Racing. Greg Delacello with 5th for Hemmelgarn. That's a very nice effort from him. 6th for David Jakes in the second of the Hemmelgarn racing machines in the field. He has Cosworth powering his, I believe that's a Lola. Alberto Equino 7th for Team Penske, and Brian Yannick is 8th for Alex Morales Motorsports. Thierry Canola, our championship leader, lines up 9th for Dick Simon Racing, and Raoul Yereb for Doug Shearson Racing rounds out the top 10 in qualifying. Jason White in his first run for True Sports lines up 11th. Nice little improvement. I think his best qualifying before this will have been 14th or thereabouts. David Junt is 12th for Rainer Racing. 13th for Mick Chapman in the third of the Team Penske cars. Ray Riddle is 14th for Patrick Racing. Juha Bos 15th for Gallus Racing. Gerard Rion 16th for RCero Racing. 17th for Bruno Chacon for Gore Racing. Filippo Marazzi 18th, Machinists Union. Joe Miller 19th for Dick Simon. Mathieu Leclerc 20th for Porsche. Leader Card Racing, Sim Watman 21st and 22nd for Dave Miller, and 23rd for Jan Kowalski, as the start has just gone with a green flag to signal the start. My apologies for being a bit... Oh, almost 5 wide going into turn 1! Deary me, that looked very close indeed. It looks like everyone is filing through turn 1 all right. You can see them all filing through, 2 wide in some places, almost 3 wide. But through tunnel turn they go, and still a little bit of 2 wide. I think Filippo Marazzi touched the wall there. He has indeed. He's back to the back of the field with at least a puncture, if not a broken suspension. And unfortunately he's in the wall again. Oh dear me, and unfortunately we have a yellow flag out for that incident. Fortunately, Filippo unable to control his car with a badly crabbing and the floor touching the ground. And he would have wanted to head for the pits, but I think the pits would have been closed when he was heading for it, so he will have to go around one more lap on his near enough 3-wheeled car. But apart from his incident, it looked like a very clean opening lap.
Indeed, Jonathan, certainly going into turn 1, I couldn't see any signs of people chopping each other off. So, yeah, it's a very clean start.
And seeing it, since I'd assume there will be no pit stops this early in the race, let's have a quick look at the trivia question for you this evening. You will have, assuming about 1.5 hours, maybe 2, to try and work it out. But 1988 NBC pit reporter Sally Larvik, I think that's how you pronounce it anyway, is married to which former IndyCar play-by-play announcer? Is it A. Bob Varsha, B. Paul Page, or C. Jim Lampley? I will let you know that I had that answer wrong, but it'll be interesting to see what you all get to work that out as we go through the evening. Also, since we have another lap coming up here at HSO, we have on the next Sunday the International Young Player F3 Championship Car Races, rounds 9 and 10 of 14, on October the 20th at 2000 CET. That will be at Brands Hatch Indy. Both of those rounds will be a very interesting set of races. That track, I think, will lend itself very nicely to the F3 cars, because if it works for touring cars, it'll definitely, I think, work for the F3 cars. And that's of course the championship where David Junt is leading. He is third in this one and currently in 15th in the race. And 2 weeks from now, on October 23rd, we will have the International DMW Baden Pokal, the 1995 Super Tourenwagen Championship, round 4 of 8. That will take place at the short version of the old Hockenheim. So a right turn, quite sharp, right after the opening turn, almost exactly where the modern second turn is at Hockenheim. Cutting through and coming out just before the stadium section. So I think it's about a third of the lap of the old Hockenheim circuit. And that's the championship currently led by me. I feel almost a bit embarrassed to say that. I think it's about 30 odd points ahead of Anders Nilsson, and about 35 ahead of Richard Wilkes in the Audi. Anders Nilsson, of course, driving one of the privately entered BMWs in that championship. But back on track. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, if the last event was anything to go by in the STW, the upcoming one should be just as good.
Definitely so. The races at the Österreichring, where we raced most recently in the STW, was absolutely stonking hot with action. And I don't think anyone was running on their own for any part of those races. Of course, it was slipstream galore at Hockenheim, the short version. It'll be far from that. I think the longest straight is like 300, maybe 350 meters. So their handling and traction will be part of the course, or however you say that.
With that, we've got one lap to green.
That's perfect. Then let's quickly run through the grid. We have Alberto Ibanez retaining his lead from the start. Richard Wilkes up into second. Adam Hackman is third. Fourth for David Saber, dropping back from second. David Yates fifth. Alberto Equino sixth. Seventh for Greg Della Cella, dropping 2 positions. Juha Boos up into eighth. Mick Chapman ninth. And Jason White cracking the top 10, which is very nice to see indeed, gaining 1 position off the start. Thiago Canola currently 11th, trying to work his way up from his lowly starting position. I think he was starting 14th. 12th for Ray Riddle, 13th for Raoul Jereb, 14th for Brian Yannick, and 15th, as I said earlier, for David Junt. Bruno Chacon is 16th. 17th for Joe Miller, 18th for Gerard Rion, 19th for Jan Kowalski, 20th for you, Dave, 21st for Mathieu Leclerc, Simon Wattman 22nd, and unfortunately Filippo Marazzi still in the pits for repairs. As we can see everyone heading for the start line. I think that was Little Al heading for the pits. Unfortunately, Little Al has been down for a couple of days with a sore throat and a bit of sickness indeed. It looks like he has indeed decided to quit the race. Let's see if we can find who or what caused that. Would it have been...
Not quite sure. I didn't see any signs of smoke or accident.
No, indeed, I can't, at least so far, I haven't seen any obvious... I wonder if the game when Little Al retired may have misread where he was on track, I wonder. That could very well be the case, but unfortunately we're under another yellow. So that was a very short green flag spree. Unfortunately not, Herman. With the way YouTube does it since about a year and a half ago, they automatically pick up on what kind of speed you can upload what you're streaming. Unfortunately, with my bush internet, I can only get it up to I think is it 480p, I think, at max. So unfortunately I can't get it up any higher. I do have fiber on the way, so hopefully for the next round where I broadcast, if we're lucky, I will be able to broadcast in 1080p. I hope, anyway.
Got a few takers for the pits there, Jonathan.
Interesting. Let's have a quick look at that. That is Greg Delacella and Judd, possibly being able to make it on 2 more stops from here. Joe Miller in the pits as well. Simon Wattman. And of course Filippo Marazzi. So 3 drivers deciding to head for the pits for a quick splash and dash, and presumably new tires, just to be sure to have new tires on the car. But also I hope all of you watching has had a good week and a nice weekend. I myself have been refereeing floorball as usual over the weekend. 5 games, and I've had a lot of fun. But yeah, Dave, what do you reckon? Will it just be a sort of trying to get to the last 50 laps of this race, so do you think we'll see racing earlier than that?
I think this is going to be one of those races where it's all about positioning yourself for that last 30 laps or so. It's a long race, it's 500 miles as we said earlier. And yeah, you've got to be in it to win it at the end. So the guys making pit stops now may just be trying to offset themselves a little bit to give themselves that advantage later.
It looks like safety car is heading for the pits this time around, so hopefully we'll have a long green flag run here so we can get some good action out on track. As the field are coming around to take that green flag, Alberto Ibanez ahead of Richard Wilkes. Green flag is out and Richard Wilkes looks to have had a good start. Jason White looks to be on a run as well after 4th. So Richard Wilkes takes the lead, almost 4 wide at behind us here. It's very close indeed, but looks like Richard Wilkes will break away a little bit for now. Looks like Jason White had a good restart there, but is taking it very easy. So he has dropped back through turn 1. I think he's about 7th or 8th. As you can see, that's David Yates trying to make moves. We're again under yellow, unfortunately. Oh dearie me, that's Joe Miller with quite a hefty off. Up in the wall, and looks like him and Jan Kowalski are coming together. That looks very reminiscent of I think it was Chip Ganassi and one other driver who went off just before tunnel turn. But that looked very reminiscent of that, except that it happened after tunnel turn 2. So it looks like Joe Miller is going to head for the pits to try and repair his car. Looks like Sim Watman and Jan Kowalski has been able to avoid damage and keep going. I also noticed that you had a good restart there, Dave. Gaining a few positions.
Made one off the restart, the rest are all cars that pitted.
Okie dokie. Still, one would have to say that gaining any position around here on a restart is a good restart.
I have to agree with you. Just like normal, I'm aiming for a consistent race rather than a quick one, so not looking to break any records, but I am looking to finish.
Very sound strategy indeed. So, back under yellow, unfortunately. Let's get that on the graphics as well. My apologies, there we go. And indeed, Joe Miller will be doing a drive-through for pitting under a closed pit lane, I would say would be the penalty there. But with that restart, we did get a bit of shuffling through the field. So Richard Wilkes took the lead off the start. Alberto Ibanez dropped back to 2nd. Adam Hackman is 3rd. Tiago Canola is 4th. David Saber is 5th. 6th for David Yates. I think he has gained 1 or 2 positions on that restart. Juha Bors 7th. Jason White, who was up as high as 4th, dropped back to 8th through turn 1, taking it very easy and was out of the groove, I think. Mick Chapman is 9th, and Ray Riddle currently rounding out top 10. Brian Yannick is 11th with David Junt 12th, so he gained 3 positions on the restart, or from people pitting and restart. Raoul Jereb is 13th, Bruno Chacon 14th, Dave Miller 15th, 16th for Mathieu Leclerc, 17th for Gerard Rion, 18th for Greg Delacella, 19th for Jan Kowalski. Looks like he is heading for the pits for a few repairs. Joe Miller is doing the same. And they are not our last runners. Filippo Marazzi is back out on track after his repairs. Although quite a few laps down from the rest of the field. So only one retirement so far in Alberto Quino, who, as we said, unfortunately is sick. Hopefully you'll feel better soon, Alberto. So that's very nice to see that so far, while we've had a few yellows, there hasn't been more than one big accident, so to speak. It has to be said that Filippo did a very good job of not spinning initially when he hit the wall coming out of tunnel turn. And it looks like the safety car is heading back into the pits. So we'll get the green flag again right here. And it looks like a good restart for Richard Wilkes. Looks like David Saber got past Alberto Ibanez on the restart. Both of them, of course, with a little more Chevrolet power. Looks like David Yates has had a good restart, gained 2 positions already, looking to try and get to terms with the Penske ahead of him. He, of course, will be wanting to outscore Tiago Canola for the championship. As Alberto Ibanez is a little bit wide, here comes David Saber in the groove up the inside. Oh, and a bit of a moment off the turn there, and Alberto with the draft and possibly a bit more boost and put into the car, as we unfortunately have another yellow. Oh, it's Simon Wattman who's lost it coming off the last turn, I think. Or even earlier. Ooh. See, I think he got a little bit sideways. I think he got sideways in the dirt, yeah. Got a slight tap from Filippo Marazzi. Tried to hold it on the gas, and unfortunately slammed the inside barrier. And knocked his front left wheel off, so I think Simon is unfortunately a retiree from this race. He is indeed, as Joe Miller. I'm not sure he got his drive-through done, I hope he did. And of course Filippo Marazzi quite a few laps down, but still running, which is nice to see.
Nice short one this time. I've just been given the 1 to go signal.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, sorry for being quiet. I was trying to sort out the a few ads to be running if we get any more yellow. I hadn't set that up. I was expecting to have a green run, but there you go. When you actually think it'll be a green run, we'll unfortunately have quite a few yellows early on. Hopefully everyone will try to settle down, take it easy, and we can get a good long run after this yellow, and I will not have to do any more work on sorting out the ads. But anyway, I have it set up just in case. But back on track here. Green flag is about to come out. Oh, and we can see already Alberto Ibanez may have even jumped the start there, but David Saber likewise was very quick. Oh dear me, this is a big group. This could be really ugly. All of them going for a bit of side-by-side contact between Hackman and Canola. But Brian Yannick jumps into the lead. David Saber second. Hackman, Ibanez and Bors for third. Looks like Hackman might have it for the time being. He does indeed. Looks like David Yates has dropped back a few positions. Looks like he's back behind Richard Wilkes. So 8th he is indeed. And here comes David Saber going for the lead. And he gets it looks very easy, but he runs way too deep though into turn 1. Brian Yannick back up the inside, Hackman going up the inside as well, and gets up into second. You have Bors with a slingshot run now. No, that's actually David Saber looking for a bit of a run, but can't make anything of it. Nola, Wilkes and Yates 6th, 7th, 8th, and we have Rayridall 9th with Chapman 10th. It looks like the action might actually finally get on the way as Adam Hackman gets into the lead. With a nice run through the tunnel turn. So start finish straight again. Looks like Bors is helping Saber. Now helping himself. Looking up the inside. Oh, David Saber all crossed up. Nice, awesome save by Saber there. Both saves it and holds on to the lead. So as you can see here, when we finally get some green flag running, it's going to be awesome. Really good here. Oh, Hackman, Bors side by side. Hackman almost up into the outside wall. Looking behind, Richard Wilkes is making a move on. I think that's Thiago Canola dropping back. So both David Yates and Thiago Canola getting by. Richard Wilkes getting by Thiago Canola. And again, Bors is looking for the wide run. As Saber and Bors gets by Adam Hackman. And now you have Bors looking up the inside, heading towards tunnel turn. Looks like he decides to back out of it as Alberto Ibanez goes up the inside of Adam Hackman for 3rd and 4th. And Brian Yannick now looking to get by Adam Hackman as well for 4th. Not quite able to do it. David Yates with Richard Wilkes looking up the inside. These three will of course want to try and hook up to the leading group. Chapman in 9th still, Rayridall being under attack by David Junt for 10th and 11th. Dave Miller up into 12th from I believe 16th or 17th on the restart. That's another good restart there. Jan Kowalski 13th, Jason White 14th, Chacon 15th, Rion 16th, Jareb 17th, Greg Delachar 18th, Mathieu Leclerc 19th. One lap ahead of Joe Miller, still running for Dick Simon Racing. And still running as well as Filippo Marazzi, 5 laps behind Joe Miller, and I believe about 8 or so laps behind the leaders, if I'm not mistaken. As Richard Wilkes sets the quickest lap of the race so far. As we can see, you are both in the lead. Oh, Saber very late goes out up to have a move. Alberto Ibanez was looking for the run. And that's Saber back up into the lead. Oh, as we have someone very wide indeed. Oh, that's David Yates! Oh no! It's really unfortunate for the championship. Especially if it's a very long repair. Let's see what happened here, if we can see it at all. Oh, he had such a good run, and Brian Yannick was going a little bit slower. And unfortunately, as we could see, they made contact. David Yates got all sideways and crossed up, and unfortunately hit the outside barrier. Oh, as he spins into his pit stall. By the looks of things. Possibly losing it because of the damage to the car. And he unfortunately decides to retire from the race. Oh dearie me. It's very unfortunate indeed. So that's one of the title contenders out. He can only hope now that Tiago Canola will run into trouble as well and score no to little points for him to have a continual championship hunt going on. As we can see, Alberto Ibanez pulling up a bit of a gap ahead of Juha Boos. David Saber third, so the top three with Elmore Chevrolet power plants, showing that power does help you around here. As Juha Boos now goes up the inside of Alberto Ibanez for first and second. Oh, and Alberto actually holding on around outside. That's very impressive indeed in Big Bend, where you have no banking to help you get around the corner. Or virtually no banking. It's only 6 degrees. Brian Yannick fifth. Richard Wicks sets another quickest lap of the race in 6th. So he is flying. Tiago Canola sits in 7th at the moment. Chapman of course up into 8th with Yates' demise. Ray Vidal up into 9th and Yunt up into 10th, and both of them still going at it, presumably trying to run together to go quicker. Kowalski now up into 11th, Dave Miller in 12th, slightly rubbing the wall there. And back behind Dave we have a big group here as Alberto sets the quickest lap through draft, I'd assume. Rion, Chacon, Yereb, White and Della Cella, so both the Yad-powered cars in this train of 5, battling over 13th back. And further behind is Mathieu Leclerc. Alberto Ibanez again sets the quickest lap of the race. Looks like he is pulling out a gap now to the guys behind. As Joe Miller has a bit of a look at Mathieu Leclerc, I think Joe will be wanting to unlap himself as he goes or looks for the inside. But here he goes up the inside at Big Bend and unlaps himself from Mathieu Leclerc, so he has one more full lap to go to be up into 18th position. And unfortunately our retirees after 1/8 of the race is David Yates, Filippo Marazzi and Alberto Jr. as another quickest lap for Simon Watman as well, and Little Al. As Alberto Ibanez sets another quickest lap up to 4 seconds ahead of the rest of the guys, with Richard Wilkes following him closest behind, but could just as well be Juha Boos or Adam Hackman in that position in a couple of turns time. As of course also in this 5-car train is David Saber and Brian Yannick. with Mick Chapman actually, I noticed, up into 7th, so he has gotten past Thiago Canola as well. Oh, as you have Bors, I think, got very, very close to the wall there. Getting a bit sideways. And immediately drops a few car lengths. That's how much momentum means around here, as Chapman and Canola running together. Looks like Canola wants to sit behind Mick and try to save a bit of fuel. Of course, Ray Riddle and David Junt still running together as well. Kowalski 11th, Dave Miller still 12th. And it's Jereb Rion has broken away from the trio of Chacon, White and Della Cella. And Mathieu Leclerc still in 18th, being lapped by the leaders. As is Joe Miller, I think. Yep, he's just been lapped by Alberto Ibanez. And Filippo Marazzi in 20th at the moment. So Richard Wilkes and Adam Hackman actually pulling away quite considerably from Saber, Yannick and Hackman. I think this is partly one of those situations where if you just work together, you would be quicker than the guys in front, but instead you're fighting for every position. Clearly here that. Oh, as David Saber gets really sideways. Oh, will he be able to avoid the wall? No, he doesn't. That's a big hit with the wall. And we very understandably have a yellow flag out. Hopefully David will be okay to keep going. I'm not sure. That looked like a very big hit indeed. Looked like he just got a little bit loose with the arrow. Yep, just a little bit too much power and a bit too little arrow, and off he went. And again, that's a very big hit. You can see the wing very bent indeed. That's very unfortunate for David Saber. He was having a good race up until that point. Oh, it's Greg. Ooh. I think Greg De La Cella was chatting with his pit crew to set up a pit stop there. That looked very, very close to another crash in this race, but luckily he was able to hold it off the wall, and I'd sort of assume now that we may see a few pit stops, that we can see Mathieu Leclerc in the pits, and indeed we have all the leaders coming in by the looks of things. Ibanez, Wilkes, Hackman, Chapman deciding to stay out, Bors, Yannick, Canola, Kowalski, Bors, Ray Riddle, Rion, Saber, David Junt, White, Jereb. Oh, very close there between Yannick and Canola. Looks like Alberto Ibanez is first out to the pits, then it's Richard Wilkes, followed by Bors. Then it's Hackman, followed by Junt, Yannick Canola, Kowalski, Ray Riddle, Dave Miller, Jereb, White. Then it's Chacon and Rion. Then looks to be Della Cella after his close call on the yellow flags. Looks like, unfortunately, David Saber is of course in for repairs after his off. And it looks like, unfortunately, Mathieu Leclerc is into the pits as well for repairs. Possibly distracted by the yellow call or seeing David Saber off the road, possibly. Hopefully he'll be back in the race shortly. As Mick Chapman now heads into the pits along with the cars a lap down. But with the yellow out, let's have a quick let's hear a quick word from our title sponsor, Quaker State, and we'll be back in a few moments' time.
From Rocky Mountain snow to Florida sun, Quaker State engines don't know when to quit.
Mine's pushing 250,000 miles.
Quaker State engines run strong and run long.
95,000 miles and no problem.
Quaker State is quality engineered to exceed every single car maker's U.S. requirements for maximum engine protection.
This car's new. I'd be stupid not to use Quaker State.
Quaker State engines don't know when to quit.
The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
2 out of 3 Indy drivers rely on STP oil treatment, because when it comes down to it, STP adds extra lubrication to reduce engine waste in whatever you drive. STP is the racer's edge.
Let's see, we are just in time after a word from our title sponsor and STP, with the green flag out and racing resumes. With Alberto Ibanez, Richard Wilkson is outside. Looks like Wilkes may be first into turn 1. He is indeed. And Ibanez second, Bors third, Hackman fourth. See all these cars swinging past, and we can see Bors way out of the groove there, loses 2 positions. So to Alberto Ibanez and Adam Hackman. Now Jan Kowalski up in the 5th position, that's nice to see, as Johan Bors uses extra power of the Ilmo Chevrolet that he has as a power plant to try and get by Adam Hackman. Hackman holding on around outside and actually stays in 3rd for the moment. It's very nice defensive work there. I think now Kowalski is a bit of a hazardous position. Oh, I think he may have scrubbed the wall a little bit there. So he's down to 7th. From 5th, David Junt 8th, Ray Riddle 9th, and Raul Jereb 10th. With Dave Miller 11th, Jason White 12th. Chacon 13th, Chapman 14th, De La Cella 15th, Rion 16th, Joe Miller 17th. And David Saber, unfortunately, still in the pits to repair his car. Mathieu Leclerc back out and running, that's nice to see. And of course Filippo Marzzi is still running now, only 2 laps behind. And a car next in front, that would be Mathieu Leclerc. And back at the front we have Richard Wilkes and Alberto Ibanez breaking away from the rest of the field. Yannick puts a nice move on Johan Bors there. Bors trying to counter-attack. Wants to try and get up the inside at Big Ben. Can't quite make it happen. Yannick retains 4th for the time being. As Johan Bors goes back up to 4th, onto back straight into turn 1. Johan Bors trying to hold the inside, can't quite make it happen. Thiago wants the inside there, but decides against it. He had a bit of a run going, but presumably not quite where he wants to make the pass. Was Bors way wide, way wide. Will be very slow from that, and I'd assume both Yannick and Thiago will get by. Make that Thiago gaining 2 positions by the looks of things. Or very tight entry to turn 1 though. Will he stay in the groove? He runs a little bit wide. Here comes Yannick on the cutback. He is up the inside. Let's see if we can jump on board with David Jonatan. Gets a free wide run into tunnel turn. Thiago very correctly backs out. Ooh, Bors and Yannick makes contact. Oh, there's more contact on the exit between Canola and Yannick. David Jonatan promptly says, I want no part in that kerfuffle. I'll just stay back a little bit. Lifted and possibly broke a little bit to slow down. Braked a little bit, slow down. And Johan Bors gains a little bit of a gap to Canola and Yannick. Oh, and Bors on the grass in tunnel turn. How did he keep it off the wall? Oh dearie me, what a save. Have a quick look at that. On board with him, heading towards tunnel turn here. See what happened. We just turned in a little bit too early, hit the grass. Ooh. I wouldn't be surprised if Johan needed a change of clothes. But he's straight back up into 4th after the front stretch. On the exit, there's a bit of a cutback, and Canola gets up the inside, looking for the move. This will be a close call. You have very brave through the turn, holds on. Ooh, as we on board with Junt, he scrapes the wall a little bit. And if I'm not mistaken, Wilkes and Ibanez are running together to try and gap the rest of the field. Currently a 5 second gap to Adam Hagman. Interesting to see that David Junt is running 4th and 5th. As Johan Bors is under attack from Canola once again, heading towards tunnel turn. Ooh, and again he braves it around outside. Some great racing going on right here. Canola had to check up a little bit behind the Bors on the entry to turn 1. That gave Brian Yannick the opportunity to get by, and he did a fantastic slide move. And here Johan Bors is wide again, loses out to both Yannick and Canola. Canola looks like he slowed down a little bit. Bors uses the extra power of the Ilmo Chevrolet, but again is wide. Looks like Canola is going to follow him wide though, as is Junt. So status quo resumes. As I say that though, Bors goes up the inside, it's a tunnel turn. Brian Yannick with a fantastic cutback. Well, how close do you want it? Heading for Big Bend turn. So 150 laps to go as they cross the finish line. And Johan Bors goes for the move once again. Having the fourth he goes. And that's the difference between Cosworth and Chevrolet power. Even with that extra power, the draft is even stronger. Yannick has a bit of a look. Went all right on the limit through tunnel turn, and I notice also further behind. Looks like we have a four-way scrap. Between Ray Riddle. Oh dear me! No! 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 Oh no! Oh dearie me! Just as we jumped on board with Mick Chapman, and on board with Ray Riddle instead, and we will see an example of loose moment. Jan Kowalski gets loose out in the grey stuff. He just about gets it regathered, but unfortunately Raoul Jereb has nowhere to go. Hits Kowalski up the rear. Jereb gets upside down, and Chapman himself with nowhere to go goes straight into Raoul Jereb's car. Not sure, I think Ray Riddle may have just about been able to avoid Kowalski's car. That was a very close call indeed. But that is very, very unfortunate indeed. Dear me. So that's Jan Kowalski understandably out with a lost rear left wheel. Not sure. Raoul Jereb is still running, so that's at least nice to see, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's heading for the pits. For a bit of a repair. Jo Miller still running, now 17th, Mathieu Leclerc 18th. David Saber back out and running in 19th, he just dropped a further lap behind when that yellow came out with his askewed rear wing. 20th for Filippo Marazzi, and along with Jan Kowalski, our retirees are David Yates, Simon Wattman and Alberto Equino. As we have pit callers, we have Ibanez, Richard Wilkes, Adam Hackman, Brian Yannick, Thiago Canola, Juha Bors, David Junt, Ray Riddle, Mick Chapman, Greg De La Cella, Dave Miller and Jason White coming in side by side, Mathieu Leclerc and Gerard Rion. It looks like Alberto is again first off pit road, although Bruno Chacon decided to stay out. Richard Wilkes third, Hackman fourth, Bors fifth, Yannick sixth, Vidal seventh, Junt eighth, Dave Miller ninth, so that's a quick stop for Dave. De La Cella 10th, Leclerc 18th, Rion 11th, White 12th, and I think that's Thiago Canola 13th after that stop, so that's a long stop for him. Maybe a slight repair to the suspension since he did scrub the wall earlier. I'm just going to have a quick look, see, it's Mick Chapman still in the pits. He did of course make contact with Raoul Jereb, both of them in the pits for repairs. Oh, actually, green flag out already, so that's a very quick mop-up of the car parts there. So Bruno Chacon is actually in the lead at the moment. Very nice situation for him, for Gore Racing. Although I'm not sure how long he will be able to stay there with the Penske of Ibanez breathing down his neck. You can see already Alberto Ibanez looking up the inside, as is Richard Wilkes on the outside. As both of them, Ibanez and Wilkes, goes up the inside of Chacon. Here comes Hackman as well to try and make the move, to get himself up into third. Not quite able to do it. Very similar cars. And now we have Yund. I think he just made a move on a lapping move on Marazzi. 3 wide up ahead. It's Hackman losing out to Bose. Both of them still behind Bruno Chacon, so Bruno doing a good job here. Not completely as far off the pace as I would expect, seeing as he was running outside the top 10 not earlier on in the race, but he's holding on for the time being. A little bit too wide there though, tries a bit of a cutback. Unfortunately, slight misjudgment, or Bose ran a bit too wide, and unfortunately Bruno loses out, drops to 7th. And David Yund now with a strong run. Can't quite make it work though. Chacon holds on to 7th. Looks like he may have a bit of a run on Ray. Having a bit of a look, but not able to do it. David Yund trying around outside, that's not going to work, my friend. Possibly a little bit frustrated with that, to translate that waving aspect. Anyway, that's not a place where you would pass around outside, so Chacon very close. David Yund clearly has more pace through tunnel turn, but as we've said earlier in the broadcast, it's a one-groove racetrack. As Yund now gets up inside of Bruno Chacon. So Bruno doing a good job defending his position without being too defensive, so to speak, just running his own race, which is very nice to see. And further up ahead, it's Ibanez and Wilkes. Looks like, would that be Yareb and Chapman back out of the pits? That's Joe Miller for the Excitement Racing, running just a little bit wide and letting the leaders past. Nice little on that. Let's his teammate past shortly, I'd assume. That's not good for Richard Wilkes. He needs to stay in Ibanez's draft if he wants to stay with him. Hackman 3rd, Yannick 4th, Bose 5th, Riddle 6th, Yund 7th, Chacon still in 8th, very good effort there. Dave Miller still in 9th, Greg De La Cella 10th, and Canola 11th. So Thiago Canola has made up 2 positions. Let's come on board with him for a little bit here, see if he can make any further progress. Looks like Greg had a bit of a run going, but decided against it. Dave Miller very wide there, loses 2 positions to Greg De La Cella and Thiago Canola. Unfortunate, but maybe the Yugo parts fitted in the warm-up after the qualifying session is a little bit too heavy to allow Dave to get through Big Ben without a bit of understeer with the extra weight. Thiago's turn to try and make it past Bruno Chacon. Looks like he may have been able to make it work there. Looks like Chacon a little bit out in the grey there and not quite able to counter-attack. And there up again we have Ray Riddle and David Yunt still battling it out. They were at it earlier in the race and they are back running nose to tail. It's now Greg De La Cella on the attack on Bruno Chacon. Dave Miller in 11th, Jason White 12th, Gerard Rion 13th, Joe Miller 14th, Mathieu Leclerc 15th, David Saber still running in 16th, Chapman back out on track. I noticed he was coming out of the pits as the leaders went, as the battle for, I think it was the final top 10 positions was going past the pit exit. So 17th for Chapman, 18th for Filippo Marazzi, 19th for Raul Jereb, unfortunately still in the pits for repairs. And Jan Kowalski, David Yates, Stephen Watman, Alberto Equino is of course our retirees. And a bit, almost a second lead now for Ibanez on Richard Wilkes. Heckman with Brian Yannick for close company. And then, if you want to talk about close company, it's 3 within a few tenths. I think David Yunt had a bit of a moment there, as Ray Riddle goes by both him and Juha Boos to make it up into 5th position. And all 3 of them being closed in on by Thiago Canola and Greg De La Cella. As I noticed in the bottom of the shot there, Raul Jereb is finally making his way out back onto the track, which is nice to see. Wide up ahead is in the second P1s. As he is now starting to close in on the guys in front as he runs just a little wide, but he gets the car back very nicely, giving a very nice run to the long pond straight. Battle going on up ahead, David Yunt now on the inside. Ray Riddle. Now Greg has caught them up. Took him 2 laps. He's there now. Interesting to see that Greg doesn't want to run into the graph. things. Raceway looking up the side of Davignon to retake 6th position. So he's not able to do so. Davignon looking for a bit of a run on Yuma Bulls. Quite able to do so, but Canola with the draft of the 2 cars in front gets by Ray Rideau. Unfortunately, Greg Bellacella got held up there. That cost him a few extra tenths. Mainly because he has the Yad power in his car. As Bruno Chacon coming out of the pits after his pit stop. That looked like it had caught out a couple of the drivers, but did a good job avoiding carnage. As we can see here, it's very much a question of momentum for Bellacella and the Hemmelgarn Racing entry. That Jan just doesn't quite pull down the straight, as well as the Cosworth Elmore Chevrolet. I think the only engine it's somewhat on par with is the Porsche, the 2708 /81. I think there may have been a bit of a contact up ahead there. And notice on the timing screen, Alberto Ibanez opened up about a 3-second gap to Richard Wilkes. Let's get back to what we have on screen here. It's a 5-way train once again. Jared Canola looking up inside of Juha Bors, who was Greg very low on the entry there. And we'll slow it down a little bit. Trying to open up a bit of a gap to the group behind, which might happen because they are now too wide going into turn 1. As Mathieu Leclerc does a very nice job of getting out of the way, staying wide. Nicely done, Mathieu. Looks like Greg is a little bit unsure when running in traffic, a little bit hesitant. But now in the draft down the straight, he should be able to save quite a bit of fuel. That should help him come along very nicely in this race. There may have been a bit of a contact. Oh, and someone is off on the infield. That's Joe Miller coming off of tunnel turn. So I believe Greg may have been slightly called out by that. But Joe making a very nice save there as to not hit the inside barriers. And we remain under green flag conditions. Very nice line by Greg through tunnel turn that time round.
At this point, Jonathan, most of the cars are very low on fuel, so they're very compliant.
Okay, that's very interesting to hear. That may have been what Greg was doing with his run, but I noticed he was staying slightly different line to the others. There's Joe Miller getting lapped again. He will have been into the pits for new tires and a full tank of fuel. As he strikes the outside barriers just a tiny bit, as Mick Chapman is closing in from behind. I think Mick is a lap behind these guys, so he will have to unlap himself. Currently just trying to sit in the draft. Now he goes up the inside, wanting to get by both Greg and Ray. Able to get by one, but not two. So we may see our first green flag stops in the very near future. Thanks to a report from Dave here.
Indeed.
Mick again looking at the inside, dear me. Mick really wanting. Oh, Ray striking the outside wall there. That water main. Chapman will unlap himself here. Coming through Big Ben. He does indeed. Yun trying to push Bors along. Trying to make up as much time as possible. With 3/8 of the race completed. Let's have a quick look at the standings with Alberto Ibanez in the lead. Getting by, lapping Joe Miller once again. Fortunate race for Joe. Quite a few incidents, half slides onto the infield and so on, but a strike with the wall early on, which of course won't have helped his course, but hopefully he'll be able to finish and finish in the points. Richard Wilkes in second, Adam Hackman in third, with a bit of a gap now to Brian Yannick in fourth. Fifth for Thiago Canola, who's opened up a gap to Juha Bors in sixth, Junt seventh, Ray Riddle eighth, Greg De La Cella ninth, and Dave Miller currently running 10th for the Bettenhausen Motorsport Yugo sponsored machine and team. Jason White currently 11th for True Sports, 12th Gerard Rion, 13th for Bruno Chacon, who I think pitted about 10 laps ago now, 14th for Joe Miller. I think that's 2 positions away from a points finish. Mick Chapman currently 15th. It looks like he's gotten by the battle group of Riddle, Junt and De La Cella. David Saber in 16th, 17th for Mathieu Leclerc, 18th for Filippo Marazzi, 19th for Raoul Yereb, and I believe he is our final runner. He is indeed. So that's the situation just ahead of pit stops, which has just happened. Looks like Ibanez is in the pits because Yannick is in the lead. Alberto is now leaving the pits. Canola stays out for another lap, so he will go up into second here. So Ibanez down into third. Wilkes coming out of the pits as well, currently fourth. Fifth for Bors, sixth for Riddle, seventh for Junt. The battle pack still going on. Don't think any of them pitted, neither did Greg De La Cella. Dave Miller still running as well in 9th now. Hackman coming out of the pits in 10th. Just ahead of Jason White in 11th. A little bit of contact there, I think, between Ray and Junt. Sorry, Ray and David. So Wilkes and Ibanez, third and second. And Canola now heads into the pits. So relinquishes the lead to Alberto Ibanez, who actually lost out in the pit stops, now only just under a second ahead of Richard Wilkes. And with a car to lap as well, which is Mick Chapman in the other Penske that is still running in this race. A great job by everyone to keep it green so far. I think our last yellow was on lap 50. So Canola came back out to the pits in 9th. About 11 seconds behind Brian Yannick. Jason White still running in with the Yad-powered True Sports machine in 7th. Still to pit, of course, but nice to see him up into the top 10 again. Hackman, Yunt and Riddle still running along with one another, I was going to say. Looks like Juha Bors and Ray Riddle is heading for the pits. So David Yunt continues to run. Of course there is a 90-mile pit speed limit that is enforced. As Ray Riddle may have slightly tapped the wall on entry there. Yeah, the 90-mile pit speed limit set so that the safety car keeps a consistent pace during restarts, so we don't get the stack up and slow down that has at times plagued us in the past when we've done oval races. So Bors and Riddle coming out of the pits. You see Dave Miller there making another lapping move on Mathieu Leclerc. Nicely done by Mathieu to back out and let Miller take the corner the way he would want. And about, I assume it'll be about 10 seconds behind the duo in front when the lap is finished. And Greg De La Chella in 11th after his pit stop. As he has been slightly held up. He had nowhere to go, neither did Leclerc there. So both of them and Raoul Yareb slightly held up, and now Jason White comes out of the pits. That holds up Greg De La Chella and Mathieu Leclerc a further little bit. Here we can actually see the Porsche and the Yada fairly equally matched down that straight. So it looks like Richard Wilkes is able to somewhat stay with Alberto Ibanez now, especially as he's been slightly held up through tunnel turn by David Yunt. David, of course, with nowhere to go there, and presumably he'll stay just a tiny bit wide to let the faster car by as Mick Chapman heads into the pits for his scheduled stop. And here goes Richard Wilkes up the inside of David Yunt. Now only half a second between him and Alberto Ibanez. And I'd assume they will be running together for at least the next 2 stints as well. Hackman back up into 3rd. Yannick back up into 4th. Thiago Canola now a lonely 5th. A full 12.5 seconds ahead of David Junt in the 6th, who he himself has about a 3-second gap to Bors and Rideau. Of course, Dave Miller up into the top 10, running 9th, which is nice to see. And Greg Delacello as well, running 10th. So he too up into the top 10, which is very nice to see. And Jason White in 11th, just outside the top 10, so with a bit of luck we may actually see both the Yud-powered cars finish inside the top 10. As long as they remain where they are, we'll see both the Yuds finish in the points, which would be a big boost for the manufacturer. Rune Chacon in 12th, Gerard Rion 13th, 14th for Joe Miller, 15th for David Saber, 16th for Mick Chapman, 17th for Mathieu Leclerc, 18th for Filippo Marazzi, and 19th and hunting down Marazzi is Raoul Yereb. And it looks like the Doug Shearson boys has done a good job. Raoul looks to be a lot quicker than Filippo Marazzi at the moment. So Yereb heads into the pits for a quick stop. See he's left there by Bors and Junt, still running together. Or a bit of a gap between Ray Rideau, not that far behind, so the three-way queue. And unfortunately we have a yellow. Not entirely sure what that would have been for. Oh dear me, it's Mick Chapman off the road. That's a very sad sight indeed. Let's see if we can see what happened. He's sitting behind Rune Chacon. Again, oh, just got slightly caught out by Chacon running that tunnel turn a little bit slower than Chapman would have expected, and unfortunately he hits the outside barrier. The car veers left and some heavy contact with the inside barriers. Hopefully the car will be... No, unfortunately Mick has been forced to retire. So unfortunately our Indianapolis 500 winner has been forced into retirement in this race, but did a very good job while it lasted, that has to be said. But unfortunately not a repeat of the most recent 500-mile race. So with another yellow being out, I'll take a quick break myself, get myself something to drink, and I'll leave you in the hands of some of our sponsors.
On the kart circuit, they have a rule. At Indy and on the kart circuit, they have a rule. You can't add motor oil during a race. And they enforce it.
Right? At Indy, they seal the crankcase.
Which brings me to Ray Hall's rule. Never use less than the best. Sure, I drive for Budweiser, but I drive with Valvoline. Over the past 5 years, 7 out of 10 Indy kart drivers have also chosen Valvoline. Is motor oil just motor oil?
Not if you live by Rahul's rule.
Date of death, some years before. Mark was thinking of buying a 1985 Civic with 47,000 miles, worn seats, and the promise of trouble-free driving. But for about the same money, Mark bought a brand new 1988 Hal Watkins Yugo with over 30 standard features, including the best feature of all, peace of mind. Because Mark's brand new Yugo comes standard with a 4-year or 40,000-mile powertrain warranty, plus for the first year or 12,000 miles. Yugo pays for all scheduled maintenance. Mark buys the gas. The decision is yours. Buy a not-so-new used car or a 1988 Hal Watkins Yugo. Yugo, the toughest, most dependable new car, a little money.
When it comes to building tough, dependable cars at America's most affordable prices, Yugo leads the way. Others are trying to follow but can't match Yugo's reliability for the price. Now Yugo leads with a 4-year, 40,000-mile warranty. And for 1 year or 12,000 miles, all you pay for is the gas. That's peace of mind. That's confidence. That's Yugo. For your nearest dealer, call 1-800-USA-YUGO. Yugo, committed to building the toughest, most dependable cars a little money can buy.
Others have tried, but no one can match Yugo's reliability for the price. Now Yugo has a 4-year, 40,000-mile warranty. And for your first year or 12,000 miles, all you pay for is the gas. Call 1-800-USA-YUGO for the toughest, most dependable cars a little money can buy.
Okay, so back on track after a bit of information there. We're still under yellow, 95 laps run. Bertie Ibanez still in the lead now with Richard Wilkes right up his gearbox and Adam Hackman not much further behind. As the safety car will be heading in this lap by the looks of things. Yannick fourth, not much farther behind either. Then there's a lap almost. You have Bors and David Junt with Ray Riddle in 7th, Knola 8th, White 9th, and Greg De La Chilla 10th. As the safety car heads in, and we are back to green flag racing. Ibanez immediately slingshots all of the cars that was ahead on the restart to lead the field into turn 1. Richard Wilkes sitting in 2nd. And Bors trying to unlap himself. Yeah. Not sure Richard Wilkes will be overly happy with that, but he's perfectly entitled as you have to try and make that happen. Of course it is such that if he is ahead of Ibanez as a yellow flag drops, he should be able to gain the lap back. But the difficulty of course is getting there. this race. That's a stonking pace from Ibanez and Penske. Here comes Juha Boos up the inside. And he gets back onto the leading lap. Looks like as David Jun may want to try and do the same. As Hackman laps Ray Riddle, and Yannick puts a lap on Jereb. And Della Cella and White now up into the top 10. Dave Miller 11th, Chacon 12th. Just about, looks like Rion may take that position away from him. Joe Miller 14th, possibly without a front wing there. It looks like Joe Miller's currently running without a front wing. Not sure how that happened, but that will obviously slow him down, which is unfortunate. Saber 15th, Marazzi 16th, 17th for Leclerc, 18th for Jereb, and obviously our most recent retiree is Mick Chapman, along with Jan Kowalski, David Yates, Simon Watman and Alberto Equino. As David Jun now up into the nearest car behind the leader, so both him and Juha Boos will be wanting to try and unlap themselves to get back on the lead lap, as the leader has just completed half distance at 100 laps, so 250 miles. As Alberto Ibanez now puts Juha Boos back down a lap, was the yellow just comes out. Who and for what? Oh,
That
no,
was Jason White hit the wall in tunnel turn.
oh dear me, no! Jason was having such a great race. See if we can ride on board here and see what happened. Turns in, oh, touches the grass, becomes a passenger unfortunately. Very good job from Jason to stay out on the outside wall for as long as possible. Oh, unfortunately, he unfortunately unhooked from the wall. Not sure who that was that ended up hitting. May have been Rion. No, it wasn't. It was Bruno Chacon. Oh, dear me, that's really unfortunate for both of them. So Jason White trying to get back to the pits for repairs to try and stay in the race. Not sure. Bruno Chacon also running, but looks like he may have a puncture. I'm amazed he still retains his front wing. Oh, we can see Jason White's car is very heavily damaged indeed. So I would say if his pit crew is able to fix that car, Jason should definitely get them a bit of a drink from the title sponsor. Of that particular entry. When Marazzi in the pits as well with damage. Oh, don't run back too far though, Filippo. Looks like Marazzi will try to do one more lap. Hopefully he's able to keep the car under control and out of harm's way. Very nicely takes it very easy here with the field on his outside. Nicely done, Filippo. Top marks on that bit. Hopefully your pit crew will be able to repair that car and you can be back in the race very shortly indeed. And so Raoul Yereb is 17th now, Leclerc 16th, Saber 15th, Joe Miller 14th, Jason White still in 13th, but I can't help but think that he will drop further down the field when he gets to the pits for repairs. Unfortunately he has to do one more lap because he's a lap down on the leader. We can see how much of a handful that machine unfortunately is. Brun Chacon in 12th, possibly in need of some repairs. Gerard Rion 11th, Dave Miller now up into 10th, Greg Velacella 9th, Thiago Canola 8th. As we have some pit callers, that's Ray Riddle and David Junt into the pits for I believe a splash, not that long ago since they pitted. As Joe Miller and someone else headed into the pits, couldn't quite see who those were. But here they come out to the pits. That's Mathieu Leclerc. David Junt 9th out of the pits, Ray Riddle 10th, and finally Jason White reaches safe haven for the time being and gets into the pits. Mathieu Leclerc leaves the pits in, I'd assume, 15th or 16th. Indeed. See, we also have, let's see, Jason White, it's Joe Miller, and Filippo Marazzi, of course, who ran one more lap around the track to finally get to safe haven and some repairs as well. So hopefully all of their pit crews will be able to repair their cars and they can get back in the running very soon indeed. As the safety car looks to be heading in this lap, it does indeed. So green flag is out. Richard Wilkes is already taking the lead away from Alberto Badia, who drops to third as Adam Hackman goes round outside. We have another yellow, fortunately.
I think that's for Greg Delicella blowing his engine on the restart.
Oh no, you got to be kidding me. Oh dear, now that's definitely smoke from Greg's car as he stops on the pit straight, and unfortunately he is indeed out.
That clearly wasn't a Quaker State engine there.
Oh, for sure not. Oh, it's right on the gear shift, so yeah. Unfortunately, there's no return from a few too many revs on a gear change, and unfortunately, Greg is out. So, unfortunately, within a few laps' time, both Yad cars in trouble, which is very sad to see indeed. Especially for Greg, who was having a fantastic race, sitting inside the top 10 consistently, and Jason White as well, sitting inside the top 10 for quite a big portion of this race.
You might see this as a quiet drive in the country, but there's another way to look at it. It's 3,000 pounds of steel and glass hurtling down the highway. That's how Canadian Tire sees your car when we install brakes. For over 65 years, we've trained our technicians to be the best. That's why we guarantee your brakes for as long as you own your car. Because to us, the most important parts of any drive are the stops along the way. The right choice for auto service has never been so clear. Canadian Tire.
Today's small cars are tougher than ever on oil. Their high-compression engines not only rev high, they can run hotter than regular small car engines. Their searing heat can begin to break down an oil immediately. That's why there's Castrol, the motor oil that in every grade provides maximum protection against viscosity and thermal breakdown. So use Castrol before your engine does something to get you heated up. Castrol, engineered for today's smaller cars.
Let's see, back on track here. We are just about to head for green flag running, and it looks like Alberto Ibanez has made a visit to the pits during this yellow. Unfortunately, Bruno Chacon has a 10-second stop go. Very strange indeed. Richard Wilkes up inside Bruno Chacon, up inside of Grand Rion. That looked very close indeed, but he survives. Looks like he's in a very good position here. Quite a big gap to the cars behind. Closest one being Johan Bols. As I noticed there, Jason White unfortunately still in the pits. I would expect Filippo Marazzi to still be in there as well with his car. You can see here in group racing it definitely isn't easy to pass. Johan Bols actually got onto the lead lap just before that yellow, or stayed on the lead lap just before that yellow, so he actually is in the hunt now, second. There's now 5 cars on the lead lap, as Ray Rideau now goes for a non-lapping. He just needs to catch up to Richard Wilkes, who is way up the grid, up the road. 5 and almost 6 seconds ahead of Johan Bols at the moment. So after the restart is Richard Wilkes in the lead by over 6 seconds now to Johan Bols being held up by lap traffic. Alberto Ibanez will want to make that his position. Oh, don't make it 3 wide into turn 1, please, boys. Okay, there we go. So, Johan Bols retains second for now. He's wide though. Here comes Ibanez up inside. And he will go second for the time being. So, third Johan Bols. Fourth, Adam Hackman. Sitting not that far behind. And Brian Yannick is currently in fifth. Full, almost 42.5 seconds behind. A lap behind, first car a lap down is Ray Rideau. Make that now David Junt in 6th, Ray Rideau 7th. Thiago Canola is 8th, Dave Miller is 9th. And Gerard Rion currently rounds out the top 10 in this race. Bruno Chacon is 11th, Joe Miller is 12th. 13th for David Saber. 14th, and unfortunately retired after blowing the engine on that restart, is Greg Della Cella. So soon to be 14th, and finally out of the pits and running is Jason White. Mathieu Leclerc is 16th for Porsche North America. Raoul Yerev is 17th. And Filippo Marazzi unfortunately still in the pits for repairs, but again hopefully his crew will be able to get the car repaired and he can resume the action. So Richard Wilkes with an 8.5 second lead to Alberto Ibanez. Juha Bols the third, 1.5 seconds behind in third. Fourth for Adam Hagman, still in that group of lapped cars. It honestly looks like this is where the action is and will be for the near future. Chacon drops behind Jörgen over there. So now he's behind Yerev. As anyone who has been on the forum in the past month and a half will know that Raoul has been going through a little bit of a rough spot. I think all of us at HSO and our sister site at ISO will agree to wish Raoul all the best, and hopefully everything will be back to as well as they can be in the very near future for you. He is currently running 17th in this race, but I believe closing on Mathieu Leclerc. 8th and 7th we're currently watching the battle off between Canola and Ray Riddle as Ray touches the grass on the inside of tunnel turn, scrapes the wall on the outside on the exit. Further ahead we can see that Hagman and also Harder, third and fourth. Not that far behind. Still running in this race, which is pretty good, I'd say. That would mean 6 retirements, I think, which is the same, I think, as we had last time in 2017 when this race was run. As here comes Adam Hagman with a run off of turn 2. Quite able to make that happen, of course. Rocking the Gilmore Chevrolet, as mentioned earlier. Hagman has to make do with one of the Cosworths, which doesn't quite pack the same punch, but clearly see that Hackman's car is handling a lot better. So here comes Hackman with a bit of a run. Quite able to make it happen now. Have another yellow. We will possibly find out.
But that's for me.
Oh dearie me, no! Whatever happened, Dave?
Car got loose coming through 3, couldn't save it.
Ah, that's really bad luck. Oh, looks like you just barely got out of the groove. Sort of made it back, but looks like your right rear was still in dirty stuff. Yeah, really bad luck, Dave. And I was just about to say that the race looked to be a little bit on the calm side.
Well, like a Quaker state engine, I don't know when to quit, so we'll get this back to the Bettenhausen boys, throw some more Yugo bits at it, and we'll be back.
Make it a little bit heavier, and then you'll be back. Yeah, sounds good, mate. Good stuff. So, unfortunately, another yellow. And since we are with that, of course, in a bit of a calmer moment, looks like a few is heading for the pits. If you don't want news of recent happenings in motorsport, well, maybe I should ask Dave first, since you may not be able to mute. Is there any news in motorsport you don't want to know about?
Nah, nothing I'm looking to miss.
Okay. Then, if you don't want any news about motorsport, then mute until the next green flag question mark. Just going to make sure there isn't a green flag out. No? Okay. Oh, rear door picks up a drive through, unfortunately, as Ibanez is slightly quicker out of the pits. In recent news, we can congratulate Colin Turkington on winning the British Touring Car Championship for, I believe, the 3rd time in his career. Winning it the first time in 2009. And then in 20... would have been 2014 or 2015. And again, of course, this year. After a very close fight with former champion gone completely blank on the name.
Jordan?
Thank you. After a very close fight with Andrew Jordan and Dan Camish. Also, of course, in the world of Formula 1, the Mercedes team secured the teams/manufacturer championship for themselves. I believe the drivers' championship is still up for grabs, but very deserving, I would say, of the manufacturers' championship. A little bit that I've been following the F1 this year. It has looked like Mercedes has finished top 5 every time, so where others have faltered, they have remained steadfast. Drive-through? Is that for a pitting on the under a closed pit day?
Yep, that's a closed pit one.
Okie dokie. Sorry to see that, but at least it's nice to see that you looks like you will be back out and racing again.
Yep, I figured the penalty for the drive-through is less of a penalty than making most of my repairs predominantly under green.
Probably a very good call there. And hopefully we will have green flag this time by. Looks like the safety car is indeed indicating that it'll be in this time by. So back to green flag racing very shortly. Back to green. Ooh, very close there on the restart between Bors and Wilkes. Looks like Bors will take second. Chapman trying to take away third from Wilkes going through turn 1. I think Wilkes should be able to hold on, running into draft from Johan Bors. He does indeed. Ryan Yannick right back next. We have the top 5 running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the road right now. Unfortunately, only the top 4 is on lead lap. Only Ryan Yannick has got behind the lead lap, possibly because he pitted on the green. Yes, a little bit wide there will hold him up, but the guys behind running too wide. A bit of wheel-to-wheel contact, I think, between Bors and Wilkes. Another bit of contact. Getting a bit heated there with about 73 laps to go. It's too wide for a big bend. They go. Richard Wilkes up into second once again. In the the meantime, Ibanez is opening up the gap. Near on 2 seconds as he heads into turn 1. As you have balls run very wide there. Comes behind Big Chapman. Almost also behind Ryan Yannick. Seconds the lead for Alberto Ibanez. Was believe Adam Hackman may have hit all the upper tunnel turn quite hard. See now understeers way wide and Big Ben. And with that, I think it's fairly calmed down after the restart, so we have Ibanez in the lead, second for Richard Wilkes, third for Adam Hackman, fourth for Juha Bols, fifth and the first car lap down for Brian Yannick, sixth for David Junt, running not that far behind Yannick, seventh for Thiago Canola, eighth for Ray Rideau, ninth for Gerard Riot, 10th for Bruno Chacon, 11th and back racing for Dave Miller. So despite the incident, running inside the points, which is nice to see. Joe Miller likewise, despite all the incidents and small offs he has had, he's in the points in 12th. 13th for David Saber, 14th for Jason White, back out and running, which is very nice to see as well. Just like Quaker State engines as well, doesn't know when to quit, never wants to quit, I think. Very much the spirit of the race, and not a yellow unfortunately. Looks like a spin off of turn 32. That's Joe Miller, unfortunately, with another spin. Looks like he runs out into the grey. That's actually turn 1, isn't it? Yeah, that's okay. So, unfortunately, he almost was able to hold it, but he got the throwback from the car, the pendulum momentum, and unfortunately the car spun on him, and we are under another yellow. Should be a fairly quick one, I hope.
In the pizza delivery game, the Noid can zap ordinary pizzas. But Domino's Pizza delivers more than all the others combined. So when you call Domino's Pizza, you get the best delivered pizza. The Noid just can't beat the best. Domino's Pizza. Nobody delivers better.
When four-time Indy winner A.J. Foyt takes to the track, he does so on just one make of tire, the Goodyear Racing Eagle. And when A.J. Foyt takes to the street, he prefers the radio used exclusively on the Corvette, the Goodyear Eagle VR Gatorback. And not by coincidence, because Goodyear makes better high-performance tires for the track and for the street. Goodyear Eagles. They'll take you home the quick way or to the winner's circle.
Goodyear, take me home.
So let's see, back on track we are. Looks like we will probably have one more lap of yellow. Don't think anyone has pitted during this yellow. Here comes Terry Canola just as I say that. Into the pits on the second lap of yellow. When the lap cars are allowed to come into the pits. There's also Marazzi and Dave Miller.
I think you want the other Miller there, Jonathan. Still out.
My apologies, it is indeed John Miller. My sincerest apologies there. I could only see the car in the distance, I didn't even see which color the car was. So.
It's easily done.
Sort of. I should be able to recognize the cars even at the distance, but oh well. So let's see, before we head for a restart, is Ibanez in the lead, Wilkes second, Hackman third, Bors fourth, Yannick fifth, Yunt sixth, Ridol 7th, Canola 8th, Rion 9th, Chacon 10th, Dave Miller 11th, Joe Miller 12th, David Saber 13th, White 14th, Jereb 15th, Leclerc 16th, Marazzi 17th. And that's our still running cars as we are back to green flag racing. What happens was, I believe, Adam Hackman slightly touched the grass through turn 1, and I can see a car very wide in the background, possibly Dave. It looked like a white car from a distance. Could have been Brun Chacon as well, I suppose. Probably more likely to have been Bruno, actually, considering where he is in the back.
No, that was me. Got loose on cold tyres.
Okie, cheers mate. And here comes Wilkes going for first. Not able to make it though. That Elmore Chevrolet definitely pulls well down the straight. Wilkes, one of the cars has Cosworth power plant in the back. Certainly looks like both Alberto and Richard really has their cars hooked up for this race. And I think as long as they are able to stay out of trouble for the remaining 64 laps, I think that's 63, I think they will be very well off to get at least a top 5 finish. Possibly fighting for the win. moments it looks like Filippo Marazzi may have had possibly a bit of a moment. Looks a little bit slow right now, but looks to be getting back up to speed. Back to the front, they are still running nose to tail. Hackman third, Bors fourth. Let's see, closest battle on track at the moment looks to be the battle between David Jonatan driving looking 5th and 6th. At least feels like the closest battle where positions may change in the near future. So don't think Richard Willis will be wanting to take the lead at the moment. He just wants to sit there and save a bit of fuel. It would surprise me if he is able to save a bit of fuel. He may be able to make one more stop, I think. But may need 2 more stops for the race.
Certainly possible. If you're not on full throttle, you can save up to 2 litres a lap round here.
Wow. That's a lot. That is Marazzi, it is indeed, who's been putting on that down. Oh, as he scrapes the wall to come to turn. Hopefully that will be a major issue for him. He's been doing a good job staying in the race. Also staying out of trouble for the most part. I don't think he's involved anyone else in either of his 2 damages to the car. Now Ricardo up the inside takes the lead ahead of Alberto, but yet looks like Alberto had a bit of a bad run, done a big bend, runs big bend, with Wills up the inside. now has taken lead with 55 laps to go. It's an interesting development for the battle as such. So I honestly don't think Mr. Wilkes will be able to pull away unless there's a bit of lap traffic to help him along.
Penske's an absolute weapon around this track. If Alberto wants to catch Richard, I don't think there's much Richard can do about it.
That sounds true. And possibly something Alberto sneakily decided to make that mistake on purpose and dropping behind to save a bit of fuel for himself as well. Obviously, as we've seen and they've alluded to, that the Illinois Chevrolet and Penske combination is very, very strong indeed. That's the Penske EC17 in hands of Alberto Bagnet. Bad chassis and engine combination by any means, but nowhere near as perfectly matched together as the Penske Chevrolet is. But it actually looks like an Hackman is slightly closing in on them as well. Adam has had some really good races, especially on ovals recently in the series, so I wouldn't put it past him to be a bit of a dark horse towards the end of this race, as we're closing in on quarter distance to go, 50 laps, about 125 miles in terms of distance. It's definitely such that Adam Hackman is closing in. He's gained second on this lap. That's a lot of time to gain. As both the lead cars are slightly held up, lapping Joe Miller. No fault of either Joe's or leaders in the way the track works. As here's White now is almost put another further lap down by Alberto Bagnet. Alberto decided to back out of that move. So you have Horse now. That's how frantic the pace is at the front. You have Horse drops off the lead lap. So running in fourth. So the only cars on the lead lap now is Richard Wilkes, Alberto Bagnet and Adam Hackman. Dick Simon, Penske and Quaker Racing. Looks like Richard Wilkes will be heading for the pits shortly with 50, 49, 48 more laps to go. So one more stop from here, I assume. It will be the same for Alberto Bagnet and presumably the same for Adam Hackman.
Yeah, we're looking at about 28 laps on average for a green flag run on the field.
Thank you very much. And we have a yellow. Dearie me. Now that is a bit of a curveball. Was Thiago Canola and looks like, unfortunately, Mathieu Leclerc. It looks like Mathieu Leclerc has lost both of his front wheels. He has indeed, so I'm afraid Mathieu is probably going to be out here. I wonder whatever happened there.
Big news there. Alberto Bunny is disconnected or retired for some reason.
Oh dear me. Oh, it looks like... Honestly, that looks like Mathieu Leclerc's car broke. Something broke in the rear of that car on entry. I have no idea how that happened, but the car snapped on him. And that's even more incredible. So Alberto Ibanez is unfortunately out of this race, with less than 50 laps to go. Oh dearie me. As we can see that Thiago Canola made contact and he clearly has damage. Oh, he's lost the front wheel as well. Dear me, that's a big curveball in the championship as well. And I believe Ray Riddle may have had a bit of contact in that incident as well. His car looks more or less okay. As does David Juntz, I think. Yeah. So unfortunately Mathieu Leclerc is a retiree. Thiago Canola with a lot of damage to repair. And I think with at least one more lap to go before he can actually get into the pits. Wow. That's incredibly unfortunate for Alberto. He was having a fantastic race, consistently sitting up in the top 5-6 positions for the whole race, but unfortunately didn't quite last all the way. But I'm fairly certain he will be fuming at the moment. Dear me, it's really unfortunate. But anyway, while we have pit stops ongoing, let's have a look at the trivia question and answer to that trivia question. And while we have a bit of an opportunity to do so. So, to remind us all of the question, the 1988 NBC pit reporter Sally Larwick is married to which former IndyCar play-by-play announcer? Is it A. Bob Varsha, B. Paul Page, or C. Jim Lampley? Do you have a guess for that one, Dave, or are you too busy sorting out the pit stops?
I'm going to take a punt at Bob Varsha.
Okie dokie. And the correct answer actually is B. Paul Page. Incredibly enough. Oh dear me, Joe Miller, while this has been going on, has unfortunately picked up a 10-second stop and go, presumably for speeding in the pit lane. Most likely on entry. That's usually where the speeding takes place in these kind of races and situations. But as such, Paul Page worked sort of alongside his own wife, which is an interesting situation. And somewhat of a possibly difficult situation to be in, as that's actually a very quick yellow by the looks of things. Looks like the racing is already ongoing here. So Richard Wilkes has taken the green flag about a lap ago. 44 laps to go. And he continues to lead, about a second ahead of Adam Hackman, who's now in a very good situation and possibility to get to score a podium finish. I think Juha Bols and David Junt stayed out during that yellow. Try and have the luck of another yellow to bring them up to the front two. So Bols in third at the moment, Junt fourth. Fifth for Brian Yannick. I believe he is a lap down though to the leaders. Sixth for Ray Rideau. Seventh now for Gerard Riot. A very strong race for him. Staying out of trouble and staying consistent in terms of the pace. Eighth for Bruno Chacon. Ninth for Dave Miller. So despite the repairs, now running inside the top 10. And Thierry Canola still in the pits for repairs, currently sitting in 10th. Alberto Banieth is of course a retiree with that unfortunate disconnection. Joe Miller currently in 12th. I'll assume he will be up into 11th fairly shortly. David Saber will be 12th in a few laps time. Soon to be 13th, Jason White. Soon to be 14th, Raoul Yereb, sitting right behind Joe Miller. Unfortunately, Matthew Leclerc is one of our retirees, and Filippo Marazzi will soon be 15th, I reckon. He will indeed in a few laps time. First 16th and then 15th. Let's ride aboard with Adam Hackman for a few laps here, see what he can do about Richard. A very good guess there, Berlin. They went for the guess I had in terms of Bob Varsha. It was a very tricky question, a very good one, picked out by Jason White, as Adam Hackman now closes on Richard Welch with a bit of help from the left traffic. Now half a second behind, as he would be a great feather in the cap for Adam Hackman to win this 500-mile race. But still 40 laps to go, so anything can still happen. And still with one more stop to go. Assume that if we get a yellow flag around the 178 lap count, someone may take the punt at going in just a tad bit early and try to fuel save until the end of the race. Save the time between the flag stop, which would be a very interesting development, but again still a long way to go until that happens. You can see here Richard Wilkes trying to slightly break the draft for Adam Hackman, not wanting to pull him along, but Hackman with quite a bit of understeer. Able to stick with Richard Wilkes, which is a great effort in of itself. It's unfortunately also the closest battle we have on track, and Thiago Canola now down into 12th and still in the pits for repairs. So Jason White is the next one to possibly get ahead of him. Put him, I believe, out of the points. That will be in 1.5 laps time. So a very interesting situation for the championship. Could remain status quo at the front. Looks like now Richard Willicks has broken away a little bit, possibly due to lap traffic. Quite a few of them around. Willicks now puts 2 cars between himself and Adam Hackman. Nice line by Adam through the tunnel turn. As he goes up the inside of Joe Miller, who very graciously goes wide and lets him past. Now it's Ray Riddle to be lapped. As he stays wide and lets Hackman past. Nicely done. So 1.7 seconds between first and second. With Raoul Yerev for the Domino's Pizza entry between them. Noticed it on the position board on the left. Jason White is now up to 12th, and I believe that means Thiago Canola is currently outside of the points. And still in the pits for repairs, dearie me. This pit crew clearly going for a bit of a hasta manana. Essentially translates to hurry calmly or hurry slowly. So now Adam Hackman goes up the inside of Raoul Yerev into tunnel turn, makes it happen. Now 2 seconds behind Richard Willicks. As he touches the grass on the inside, the big bend, able to hold the car off the wall though. Oh, that's really unfortunate for the battle. Thank you very much, Arthur. Apparently Alberto changed down 1 gear too many, and the engine quote-unquote exploded on him. So that's what's happening. It wasn't a disco, it was an engine failure, presumably caused by Alberto himself, but that's not much of a relief for him, considering he was in with a chance of winning the race outright.
Without wishing to sound biased, we've got quite a battle for 8 to come between myself and Bruno.
certainly get back and have a look at that. Going side by side, going towards turn 1. Miller decides to back out. Shows that discretion is the better part of valor for the time being. Definitely looking like a good battle right now as he goes up inside of Chacon. Chacon stays wide. May try for a cutback, but looks like he weren't quite able to bring the speed through tunnel turn. Now with a blue flag out as well as Dave Miller is sideways. That slows him up. Possibly Bruno Chacon with a move back. Regain 8th position. And that's Ryan Yannick currently running 3rd. Now going up the inside of both Dave Miller and Bruno Chacon. Possibly slow Bruno Chacon up, but it looks like Dave Miller has had a bit more of an unfortunate run right there. Chacon makes contact with the wall. Dave Miller decides to back out of that. Sireb makes his way up the inside, as does David Jones. Let's have a quick look and see. So Richard Wilkes is pulling away. They would be able to pit and make their way to the finish from here. If they're so pleased. 25 odd laps to go. 8th and 9th, and Chacon slightly sideways, through turn 1. David Miller with a run. The up inside. Really close between the two, but David Miller again decides to stretch his better part of Bella. Backs out. Nice pedal nonetheless. Was Chacon really sideways? Nicely held Bruno, but unfortunately the position lost. So Dave Miller up into 8th. David Saber running 10th. Joe Miller 11th. Jason White 12th. Last points paying position, I believe. And he has 1 lap lead on Raul Jereb, who has a further lap lead on Thiago Canola. So it'll be a long shot for Thiago to score any points tonight, I believe. As Richard Wilkes now heads into the pits for his final pit stop. And so does Adam Hackman as well. Let's see who is first out of the pits. Looks like both of them are taking both fuel and tires. Like Richard Wilkes, barring an incident or a mistake, will be able to take the win tonight, which would be very deserving for him. Now 10 seconds ahead of Adam Hackman after the pit stops. Of course, Richard Wilkes, our modding guru, along with Alberto Ibanez. Nice to see both of them having a good race. Unfortunately, of course, Alberto was forced into retirement just a few laps ago, but... Oh, as Adam Hackman has a spin! Oh, that brings out a yellow! Deary me. Nicely held though. He was able to sort of save it. But that's just outside in the grey. Feels he is going to run out to the wall and pinches the car down, I think, and that's him spinning onto the infield, and the yellow flag is out. That may help a few who may want to pit, didn't want to pit on a green flag. Both Richard and Adam will still have at least a lap on the drivers behind by the end of the pit stop cycle. But again, I'll leave you with a couple of ads, and when we get back, hopefully we will be back racing for a presumably 15 to 17 lap dash to the finish flag.
In Canada, to be successful, a beer must have certain attributes. It must be clean and clear, crisp and cold. And it must have a genuine Canadian taste. Molson Canadian, what beer's all about.
Of the world's leading motor oils, only one exceeds all car makers' U.S. warranty requirements and surpasses the American Petroleum Institute's highest standards for car engine protection for every weight it sells. Only one oil, only Pennzoil. You can't buy better engine protection for your car. So choose the world-class protection of Pennzoil motor oil.
Quaker State engines don't know when to quit. From Rocky Mountain snow to Florida sun, Quaker State engines don't know when to quit.
Mine's pushing 250,000 miles.
Quaker State engines run strong and run long.
95,000 miles and no problem.
Quaker State is quality engineered to exceed every single car maker's U.S. requirements for maximum engine protection.
This car's new. I'd be stupid not to use Quaker State.
Quaker State engines don't know when to quit.
The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
2 out of 3 Indy drivers rely on STP oil treatment, because when it comes down to it, STP adds extra lubrication to reduce engine wear in whatever you drive.
STP is the racer's edge.
At Indy and on the kart circuit, they have a rule. You can't add motor oil during a race. And they enforce it.
Right? At Indy, they seal the crankcase.
Which brings me to Rahall's rule. Never use less than the best. Sure, I drive for Budweiser, but I drive with Valvoline. Over the past 5 years, 7 out of 10 Indy kart drivers have also chosen Valvoline. Is motor oil just motor oil?
Not if you live by Raceway's rule.
My apologies, I was just doing a bit of housekeeping elsewhere as the ads was running down. We are back to green flag running. The start was taken just a few seconds ago. And Richard Wilkes retains his lead, 1.3 seconds ahead of Adam Hackman. Who's sitting a few cars back in the queue and has third and fourth just ahead of him. Oh, we had another spinner. Oh, that's Richard Wilkes! No! Surely not! Oh, the wretched luck! So just like others have done before him, loses the rear end just slightly, and the car slides off onto the infield, hits the barrier, and he unfortunately ends up on the other side. Hopefully he will be able to make his way back onto the racetrack. I'm fairly sure we will have made some kind of re-entry possible somewhere. That's really bad luck for Richard. I think he will have to make his way round and rejoin through the pit lane, if I'm not entirely mistaken. That looks like that is exactly what he is doing. There he goes into the pit lane. Hopefully he stays below the 90 mph speed limit and he will be able to rejoin in fourth. What wretched luck! That is such bad luck for him. He was well in the lead. Dear me. Well, this opens up for another sprint for the flag, about 10 laps I'd assume, when the race gets back going. Looks like we are back to green flag racing, and looking a little bit off on the restart, but Adam Hackman still retains his lead. Now 1.1 seconds ahead of his nearest competitor. You see laps. Couple of the cars, that's Juha Bors and Raoul Jereb going side by side through tunnel turn, 12 laps to go. And Adam Hackman now in a prime position to take the lead, but behind it's Junt Yannick Wilkes. As you were, 2, 3, 4. Junt on the wrong side here, getting boxed in. Oh, and a bit of contact as well. And Richard Wilkes goes from 4th to 2nd in a few hundred meters of the track. Absolutely incredible. So Adam Hackman still in the lead. Oh, we have another yellow! Deary me. Everyone trying as hard as they can and possibly overdoing it. Oh, it's Brian Yannick who's out! Oh, dearie me. Never happened here. Oh, that's really bad luck. So this is what happens when you interlock tires, unfortunately. As we're going to see right here, just slightly misjudged. Well, I'm looking for the same piece of the track from what I can see there. Oh, and a very close call for both Gerard Riot and whoever else that was. But unfortunately Brian Yannick out of the race. And we're yet again back on the yellow. So it'll probably be a 8 to 6 lap sprint to the finish line. So Hackman first, Wilkes second, 2 cars between them. Junt third, right behind Wilkes. Reridol fourth, 1 lap behind, so it's 3 cars for the win now. Juha Bors will be 5th in the lap's time. Gerard Riot will be 6th in a lap's time. Dave Miller soon to be 7th. Brun Chacon soon to be 8th. David Saber soon to be 9th. Joe Miller soon to be 10th. Jason White soon to be 11th. Raoul Jereb soon to be 12th. And Tiago Canola, soon to be 14th, needs to get one more lap back on Raul Jereb to be able to make it a points finish in this race. Will be a very difficult thing to accomplish, I think. I suppose anything is still possible in this race, looking at what has happened so far. Sorry to hear it, Matthew, but looked like you had a good race going up until that point, so I think you should be very proud of this evening's racing for yourself, and hopefully you'll be looking forward to the next one. As I believe we are heading for a green flag here, we are, so it'll be 8 laps to go as the green flag flies, and that's definitely a jump by a few of the guys. As Richard Wilkes goes up the inside of Adam Hackman. Hackman holding on around outside, just about gets the gap and goes down below Dave Miller. So Dave Miller with a prime seat to see the fight for the lead. As Mr. Wilkes down the inside a tunnel turn. That's a very close call. Both of them are able to survive. Junt in third, right behind them as well. So Hackman with a great run through Big Ben goes up the inside Ray Riddle. But now he's a sitting duck. Here comes Richard Wilkes with the slingshot. Oh, a bit of contact between Bors and Ray Riddle, and a bit of contact between Hackman and Wilkes. And a bit of further contact, I believe, maybe between Ray Riddle and Richard Wilkes, and Wilkes drops back, and Hackman regains first position through the draft. Now he goes up the inside. Richard Wilkes, it falls to the apron, and up the inside he goes. A bit of side-by-side contact, but Wilkes is closed in behind Ray Riddle, and Hackman retains the lead. And with a bit of a gap, Junt looking for a possible opportunity on Wilkes. Not sure he will take it though. And Wilkes dives down towards the apex at turn 1. Really wanting to get on with it. 6 laps to go. And Hackman with a bit of a gap now. About second. Back to Richard Wilkes. Wilkes trying to make the move to put Ray Riddle a lap behind him. There he goes, finally makes it happen. Junt follows him through. So 1.4 seconds Adam Hackman's advantage with 5 laps to go. Oh no, there's contact! Oh dearie me! 2 cars flipping over. I didn't even see, I think that's one of them is David Junt for sure. Oh dearie me. That is David Junt, and it's Juha Bors. Oh dearie me, and he drops back down the apron to be hit by Jason White. Oh dearie me. Ay 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 ay. So Junt trying to get back going. Not sure if any of the others are going to. Oh no, Raul Jereb is involved as well. Oh, Juha Bors has lost both his front wheels. There's no way he'll be able to make it to the pits. Oh, that's so unfortunate for Juha Bors. He was having such a great race. And he unfortunately retires. Ray Riddle has retired from all of that as well. Oh wow, he flew off the road. He completely flew off the track. Oh, that's really unfortunate. So you have Boss hits the barriers. Raoul Yareb has nowhere to go and hits you have Boss, and then again, because he has no front wheels, he can't stop the car going down to the apron. Jason White takes a hit as well, and David Saber loses his rear wing. So Jason White looks to be trying to get going. He's back running. Teo Canola now 13th. Possibly will now score points through all of that. Oh dearie me. Not even sure if we'll get another set of green flag running here. Only 3 laps to go. Be a very close call if we get any more green flag running, I think. Let's see if anyone heads for the pits here. Doesn't look like it. Junt is further back down the track. Oh dear. Definitely struggling with the damage on his car.
He's going to want to be careful not to get run over. We're going green this lap.
Okie dokie. And Gerard Giraud actually sitting in 4th now. Deary me. What an unfortunate ending to this race. You have Boss 8th and retired. Ryan Yannick retired a little while ago. Ray Rideau retired. Absolutely mental scenes as Jason White now tries to get into the pit stall to get serviced. Hopefully he'll be able to make it. As he now gets serviced, so there we go, but back to green flag running this time around we will be. See if David Junt still struggling around. Let's see, I believe it. He's in the final turn, so I would expect him to head into the pits right here. Unfortunately, David Saber picks up a drive-through as we're back to green flag running at the front. So it's Richard Wilkes now in the lead, taking the lead on the restart from Adam Hackman. This is now a two-way scrap for the win. David Junt 40 seconds behind. And Adam Hackman looking for the outside run, a tunnel turn. That will never work, surely. No, it doesn't, but he may have the cutback. Not quite. Wilkes with a wide entry. Hackman in the draft though should be able to close up a little bit down the straight, down the front straight. Here it comes, definitely closing in. Wilkes weaving about, trying to break the draft. There's David Junt up by the wall. Hackman, oh dear me, is forced to the grass! Dear me, Richard Wilkes, that looked a little bit harsh. Good job on Adam Hackman on keeping the car in a straight line. So clearly all hell has broken loose in this race. So now with a 1.5 second advantage, on to the last lap we go. Hackman running wide at turn 1. And even less, Richard Wilkes makes a mistake, he should be able to hold on. David Junt trying to make his way around and finish 3rd. As Jason White unfortunately will finish outside the points, which means Thiago Canola will finish and score at least a point. But here comes Richard Wilkes to take the win here at the Pocono 500, as he actually spins across the line. Adam Hagman finishes second after a very close call towards the end of the race. David Junt, I believe, will finish third in a pretty heftily damaged car, as long as he can get it to the finish line. Fourth is Gerard Riot, his best finish of the season. A fantastic drive from Gerard. Congratulations. Fifth for Dave Miller, equally a very good drive there, mate. Good recovery. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Brun Chacon, again consistent. Generally staying out of trouble and finishing sixth. Good effort there. Seventh, while retired, I think he will be classified seventh, is Ray Rideau. Eighth for Juha Boos, I think he will be classified as well as in eighth. Joe Miller in ninth. David Saber in 10th. Brian Yannick 11th. Not entirely sure if he will be classified as a finisher or not. 11 laps off the lead position. Tiago Canola finishes 12th to score at least 1 point, I believe. Just outside the points, unfortunately, is Jason White in 13th. 14th and I believe retired is Raul Jereb. 15th would be Filippo Marazzi, staying in there and doing a good job to finish 15th. And I believe he was our final finisher, with our retirees being, among others that I mentioned previously, Alberto Ibanez, Mathieu Leclerc, Greg Della Cella, Mick Chapman, Jan Kowalski, David Yates, Simon Wattman and Alberto Equino. As we are also joined in the booth after the race by Richard Wilkes and Juha Boos. We'll start with Richard. I think congratulations on the win. That must have been a heart-stopping moment, 15 laps from the end, but somehow it worked out for you.
Well, Jonathan, let me first, we will get to that. Let me first address, I don't know exactly what happened with Adam. I was trying to protect inside. I think he went to the grass. I could see him in the mirrors at some point, and the spotter didn't tell me anything. Was he alongside me? I don't know.
I don't think he was alongside you, but they had enough of a run, so if you had left him a car's width, he would have been up the inside of you very, very, very shortly before he made the grass. So very close.
All right, so he tried to go. He tried to go anyways. Okay, that's good. I was worried I pinched him.
I think it was a very close call. So
yeah, I can imagine.
Generally, a racing incident, a very hard situation to call, but racing incident, I'd probably say at the.
Well, if I get a warning, I think it can be also fair. Anyways, I want to apologize to him if I squeeze him too much. I went to cover maybe a bit too late. I don't know what happened exactly, but all right. The race. Well, I gotta say, Jonathan. This was the first. We raced at Pocono 3 times. I love this track. I think I'm rather competitive around here. And yeah, 15 laps from the end, I saw it going away from me again. I don't know what happened. I think my PCE had one of those, those slight stutters. Suddenly my car was going sideways, and I went into the infield, and I had to go all around the track.
Yeah, we did catch that.
Yeah, to find the hole to get back into the track. I didn't know how it happened. I was very lucky in that moment. Yeah, very lucky, Jonathan. I had a very good car around here. I had a pace. Some people there in the end with the overtakings lapping, it was a jungle out there. Some people were very good, some people were a jungle. The last yellow with Ray, I think it was a bit unnecessary, but I think Yunt hit him. But anyways, what can I say? It's the first 500 miler I win, and it's in one of my best tracks around here. Hard race, that's all I can say, hard race.
That is very understandable indeed, and I can understand that you are very tired indeed. Looking towards the rest of the schedule, if I can get there. This was, of course, the second to last oval. Next out will be at Elkhart Lake. How do you rate your chances around Elkhart, or Road America as it's also known?
Well, another track I like, and unfortunately I've been lacking just a little bit around some road courses. Well, I'm hoping to have a good race to the finish, and at least finish this, strong on points. I'm sure the big boys are going to be back with a vengeance, Jakes, Canola Grant, etc. But I'm hoping that I can be right there close to them at least.
Okie dokie. But yeah, again, congratulations on your win. That's definitely well deserved after many attempts and many good runs. Finally one that worked out for you.
Thank you. Almost didn't, but yes.
Also noticed David Yun jumped in here, but Juha, I know you was talking about you didn't really feel sure about the car, but looked like you had a good race going for quite a long while there.
Well, it was looking good. I even got the lead at some point. I had a very well planned pit stop to get back on the lead lap, which is good. Then I brushed the wall at the kink, as I usually do. I dropped back a bit, and then afterwards I just got unlucky that I wasn't quick enough, so each time I got lapped, the yellow came out. So there wasn't much progress to be done beyond 5th place, and then if I got into 3rd. Then I hit the wall at the final turn, and that slowed me down even more. So after that, I just drove finish until I came across someone's car rolling up down with 5 laps to go, and I had nowhere to go. I was pissed off at that, really, because I was so close to finishing it without ripping any big parts off, and then that happens. But
yeah,
I got points for 8. Worse.
Yeah, it certainly could have been. Yeah, really, really unfortunate. Wasn't entirely sure how that exactly transpired, but looking towards the future, since this event has finished, how do you feel that you'll do at Elkhart Lake or Road America?
I like the track, but I'm not quick. I'm very slow at road courses, so I'm not hoping for anything. I'm just trying to have fun. Doesn't matter. You'll see.
Okie dokie. We also have David Junt here, of course. Looked like you were going to be on for a fight for the finish, for the win, with 10 odd laps to go. Then all hell broke loose. How did that happen from where you were sitting? It looked very, very unfortunate indeed.
Hello. I guess it was. I don't know. I was not counting on it. I mean, it was like 2 laps down, and then just fortunate things happened and such, and then I found myself on the lead lap. And even then, I was mainly like just catching off most slipstreams and such. And then I was there. I mean, fighting for it, but I was like keeping back and watching it unfold. And to be honest, I I feel bad at one part, but I'm also a bit. I'm losing understanding for some of the driving. I saw it before, like we always said during the race, and what I saw it on the forum, I was like, yeah, some people that race long here already still drop back over 2 car lengths and then come rushing at you. We've got 4 cars, 4 wide on the start finish stretch, which can create very hairy situations. So I don't really understand how that happens, and I also see some. I mean, it's fine. Even I kind of helped you to get the lap back when the leaders were there, but we made it as fair as possible. But then again, I don't really understand how, like with like, let's say 10 laps to go, and we are like a 3-4 way battle for the lead. That someone or some cars make it very hard to fight normally, and then just trying slipstreaming you, and then mess everything up. At the same time, I was probably it looked mean, but I don't understand how you have to try to get in between there. It's not fair. It's not fair in my opinion. I was gonna say I'm sorry for Brian Janik's flip. I mean, I've had the same happen at Michigan. I think I was just lucky to come back, set back on track. But I didn't think it was a good idea to try to go get me in the kink, because I was thinking everyone slipstreaming, it would all be together, and then yeah, it happened. I still don't think it was a very good idea. Sorry that he flipped and died, but I don't know. I was just saying I was like the more guy that was waiting and looking, so I'm a bit torn here. In the last 2 laps, I was just like very silly bringing the car back home, but I don't know. It is what it is now. It was just very. I didn't think it was a good idea to get in between the fight for the lead there. So I'm also sorry for disrupting the lead battle at the front in the end.
Well, either way, you got away with a 3rd position finish. So congratulations on that, and hopefully you'll have a good race at Road America and get back to slightly more competitive running. Because it sounds like you felt a little bit off the pace.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for the race really. I took a setup, did this and that, and I grew over the race a bit with it, and it was stable enough. But that's why I said I was more passive and biding my time and just looking how good I could get on. So both courses are more my thing, but it's fun driving always with. Yeah, when it works, it's great. But sometimes it's just there are hairy situations that sometimes shouldn't happen. So I guess I'm also be happy that we go back to road courses.
Okie dokie. We are also joined by Mathieu Leclerc. Of course, with the title sponsor Quaker State on his car, the Porsche North America entry, and looked like you were having a perfectly decent race for a lot of that race. How did the race go for you, do you feel?
Honestly, I was wishing to just join the checkered flag. I knew I didn't have the pace enough, but I was just aiming to finish it. I would say I was trying to get out of the troubles, but avoiding the walls, I would say, was difficult. But the only thing is, I was collected during my pit stops. Another car touched me during my pit stops, and this is why it caused me lots of damage, I would say.
Ah, okay. That's very unfortunate indeed.
It was half race, I would say, and so the last 50 laps, I managed to get pit stops, but it cost me, I would say, another 80 seconds more. So I was just aiming to finish at the end of the pack. But unfortunately, I get loose at the end of turn 1. I brushed the wall. Maybe it burned a little bit the suspension when I was aiming to go to the pit stops. When I was in the kink, the car was not turning enough, but not straight enough, and unfortunately I get a spun.
Unfortunately, in that situation also collected, so very, very, very unfortunate indeed for you and for, if I read correctly, it was Tiago Canola who collected you, right?
That's right. So
Um,
unfortunately, I would say these cars, as you said, are really fun to drive, and but on our ovals, it's very tough. And I know that since playing with HSO kart mode, I would say finishing ovals has always been very tough for me. On other simulation, I've been able to finish 500 miles races on the top 3 finishes. Finishing historic cars is very, very difficult. So we're very well done to the podium.
Very well said, in the way that old cars were possibly trickier to drive than modern cars, but good to hear that you are still enjoying the experience, from what I can understand.
Yes.
And looking quickly towards the future, Road America, Elkhart Lake, how do you rate your chances there? Will you just look to finish, or will you be hoping for a few battles?
I would say yes. We're running on the road course would be more easy, I would say, for me. And also Road America is one of the track I have driven a lot with these historic modes.
That sounds very. Sorry, go ahead.
So I hope we will have a nice race too, with an aspect of maybe 20-25 cars at the Road America.
Certainly. So, I think.
Thank you, Jonatan, for the comments tonight.
Thank you yourself for showing up, and all of our drivers and viewers to having shown up and put on a good show. Any final thoughts, Dave, before we end off the broadcast?
No, nothing from myself. Very enjoyable race for me, and we'll look forward to the next one. Well, unfortunately, I think I'm going to be missing Road America. I'll look forward to what comes after that.
Okay. That would be Michigan, I think, unless I'm mistaken. Yeah, I think it's Michigan. I could be wrong. Anyway, again, thank you everyone for showing up and putting on a good show. Very unfortunate that there were quite a few yellow flags, but I think we more or less got through them okay-ish on the broadcast. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed what we had to bring you tonight. Next time you'll see us on the air will be next weekend on October the 20th for the Formula 3 races at Brands Hatch Indy, and after that, not broadcast, but there are cars available if you would be wanting to take part. I mean, it'll be the International DMV Baden Pokal from the short version of the old Hockenheim. But yeah, until next weekend, have a great week and take care. Good night, everyone.
Good night.